Good morning and welcome to the Delco Show. This is Tori Fiore, Executive Director of Delaware County's Brandywine Conference and Visitors Bureau, and you are listening to the Delco Show right here on iRadio Philly. The Delco Show is brought to you by the Delaware County Chamber of Commerce, and we would be remiss, Stephen E. Kessler II, our technical whiz from Painless Technology, if we didn't thank our wonderful sponsors for lunch, Capriati's of Delaware County. Well, many locations, but 3 that are in Delaware County. So, Capriati's, as usual, provides us with lunch because I guess about 6 months or so ago, we started crying to the chamber that even though we're not a union group here, the two of us, we don't get lunch. And they started providing us lunch. So, again, a little thank you to Capriati's. Stop in and see them. I think what Capriati's did for us this time is because we were a little late in putting our lunch order in. I wanted the Italian sausage, but I'm not complaining. I got another Italian hoagie. I don't know about you, Stephen. Tuna again, pal? I mean, you're turning into a fish, okay? All right. So, Capriati's, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, something that's happening on January 19th that's very, very important is the Martin Luther King Day of Service in the city of Chester. And with us today is Twyla Simpkins, who's the CEOO of the Yes We Can Achievement and Cultural Center and the chair of the MLK Commemorative Committee of Chester and the vicinity, and Colin Corbin from the Chester Upland School District. And we also have with us Aubrey Proud, who is with Crozier Keystone Medical Systems, Crozier Keystone Hospital, and Crozier Keystone is taking an active part in MLK Day of Service in Chester this year also. So, ladies, welcome to the Delco Show. Aubrey, welcome to the Delco Show.
Thank you.
Aubrey and I go way back. We've known each other since Brooklyn was a prairie. I knew him as a young, bad student that my wife taught when he was in high school. He's grown to be a respectable person. I see you even surround yourself with respectable people like Twyla and Colin now, Aubrey.
It's good to have good company.
So, Martin Luther King Day of Service, okay? How did it start? Why do you do it in the city of Chester? And how did you guys get involved in it? Twyla, let's start with you first.
Well, how it started, I'm not sure, because I'm one of the older new kids on the block, and I've been with the committee for about 5 years.
Okay.
But
But it's over 20 years old. We know that.
But it's over 20 years
Okay.
old, and it Dr. Cavan, the late Dr. Cavan from Widener, Bill Nix, it's been any number of people who've been on the committee. But there's a core group of organizations who, through the years, have just stuck with it. And it's their commitment to the community, to the city of Chester in particular. And that's why we do it, because it is strictly a volunteer effort. And anything that's raised goes right toward this effort. And so that's in part why we do it, our commitment to the community.
Well, who do the funds go to, Twyla?
The funds go to either preparing to get it, to get it all together.
Right, sure.
Some of the different activities that we have that needs the support of buying supplies and things like that.
So it's a self-supporting and self-sustaining organization.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Colin, how'd you get involved? Because again, we had the conversation also before that. You're like a young kid on the block, right?
I'm the newest kid on the block.
Okay.
Correct. I'm with Chester Upland School District, and this year,
Wait a minute, and you do what for?
parent and community involvement.
Okay.
So this year, I'm very excited that all 6 schools are locations for volunteer opportunities. So it's awesome partnering, especially with the rich history of Dr. King in the city, and his life is a blueprint of how one person can make a difference. And, great examples for our children to build character.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about this event.
Yeah. Aubrey, let me get you in here because you'll start to sulk if I only talk to the delightful women instead of you. Where does Crozier Keystone come into this mix?
Sure. As Twyla mentioned, their organizations have been involved with this event for a number of years, and Crozier Keystone Health System and specifically Crozier Chester Medical Center have played an integral role in this committee over the years. Personally, this is my second year involved in this event. And given that Dr. King, when he was known as Mike in the city of Chester, attended the theological seminary at Crozier, and also studied and learned and attended Calvary Baptist Church in Chester from 1948 to 1951. Having that Crozier connection, it's great for the health system to play a role in the events that current day.
Yeah, a lot of people, I guess, ladies, don't realize that there is a historical connection with Dr. King and the city of Chester that goes back to the late 40s and early 50s with him going to school here as well as teaching/preaching here, correct?
Absolutely.
Correct. And that's in part why when I joined, we as a committee talked about what goals we wanted to set so that we could have something to strive for. And one of the things was to try to get the ongoing message of Dr. King. And that's how Pieces of Peace evolved, because it started out as a way to create a mural. But in doing that, the community would be invited in to do the different pieces. And so if you know anything about the way the murals that we do are completed, people can kind of come in, and it's almost like a color by number. And different organizations and groups came in and started working on these pieces. But a lot of the conversations that grew out of those meetings and things. And then once the mural was complete, then it gave us another opportunity to meet as a community in installing it wherever it was going to be placed.
Yeah, and I think what I want to get into is very, very shortly, because the important thing is, with today's program is to get the volunteer information out there. But you have a very diverse group of people or organizations that are involved in the MLK Day of Service in Chester. Boys and Girls Club of Chester, Chester Upland School District, Crozier Keystone Health System, the Delaware County Chamber of Commerce, Rotary Club of Chester, Swarthmore College, United Way of Greater Philadelphia and Southern New Jersey, Unity Center, Upland Borough Council, Wallingford Community Arts Center, Widener University, and of course the Yes We Can Achievement and Cultural Center. That's a very interesting mix of groups that are involved, that are hands-on involved in this, aren't they, ladies?
Yes. And with Widener and Swarthmore, the ladies that we have, Cynthia and Marcine, it's actually a part of their job, but they do it because they want to. And it reaches the community. It involves Widener students. It involves Swarthmore students. And then, again, pooling resources. Our muralist, Paul
Downey.
Oh, I know Paul Downey.
Comes from
Sure.
the
Wallingford Arts Center, sure,
Right.
sure.
So everyone brings their treasures and talents to this process to move it forward. So in terms of Rotary, the connections and things that they have, as well as the volunteer part for Aubrey, who's been instrumental in the communication. Because again, we're just kind of a startup committee doing the best that we can. But Aubrey's been able to take it to another level in getting all the publications together, the coordination of the volunteer efforts and things like that. So again, each individual contributor brings their own individual spin to the committee, and we're able to move it forward.
Yeah. Well, now a little known. I'm sorry, Aubrey, you were going to say something. Jump in.
Yeah, just say from a public perspective, Tori, what Twyla touches on also transcends to the community in that with the 6 schools available this year, with all the focused effort going on at Chester High School and the fun that's going to be going on there, it's a great opportunity for the community in Chester and vicinity to come out and support the event and really come out with your families to participate in the events going on at Chester High, and I know we'll get into that a little bit later on.
Well, I think what's important, and that little known kept secret, because I know, Twyla, I have this strange feeling and that you kind of don't like to talk about yourself a lot of times, but you taught in the Chester Upland School District for 35 years as an English teacher, did you not?
Yes, I did.
And Colin, you're involved with Chester Upland School District.
Correct, and a 1989 graduate of Chester
And a
High School.
1989 graduate,
Correct.
and you were a 1969 graduate, Twyla. My wife, a 1968 graduate of Chester High. But the point being is that it's good to see that the school district is being involved in this. And is this kind of the first time that all six schools are going to be, at points for volunteer services and everything, Colin?
Although this is the first year that all 6 schools are a site for volunteerism, this isn't just one day for the school district. Every day, it's it's what we do to build a community of leaders. So this is the perfect marriage to allow our children to model the behavior, to connect the dots with what's taught daily in a classroom and incorporate that community service. And with that, as well as the essay, and we'll talk about that a little later, the pieces of peace. How do I make a difference in my community? Many hands make light work, and what better example than to see the day of service on January 19th.
Yeah. Now, the important thing here is the event is Monday, January 19th, and volunteers are needed to get there between 9 a.m. and 12:30. You can email Aubrey Proud over at the Crozier Keystone Health Systems. It's Aubrey, AUBREY Proud, PROUD, at Crozier, CROZER.org with your volunteer level of interest. The volunteer schedule will include all assignments at all 6 Chester Upland School District schools, and it's developed prior to the event with confirmation the week of January 12th. So if you're looking to volunteer, please, send an email out to aubrey.proud@crozier.org. Google them up on Crozier Keystone Health Systems if you can't remember the email address, or you can call, I think, Twyla, this is your number?
Yes.
610-876-2222 and speak to someone, if not Twyla, at the Yes We Can Achievement and Cultural Center. They'll be able to give you the information also. Let me ask a question, ladies, okay? Again, I can go home and get yelled at, okay, Twyla, so don't yell at me, please, all right?
I'm not on radio. Go ahead.
But you're just a tad older than Colin.
Just a tad.
A tad, a smidgen, an iota, okay? A drop in the bucket.
All right.
Okay? Go with that, all right? But Martin Luther King, okay? Different generations growing up, I would get the feeling that maybe what he means to you individually could be something a little bit different. So let's start with you, Twyla, and because you grew up in it. So what did he mean to you?
And it's interesting how you pose that question, because in always questioning why I do what I do, it comes back to that basic thing of building community. And I think it was because in part of how I was raised, from a family that shared in community service, that when it was a given, a teacher mother and a blue-collar dad, but a very, very intelligent man who was also involved in politics. So very, very early on, I just got an overall better appreciation of what was going on. So when Dr. King was in the city, I was clueless, but as things evolved, they talked to us a lot about any number of different things. So I just grew up knowing what my responsibility was. And I'm being given the opportunity to build on that. And that's why, as a teacher, kids would say, oh, yeah, but back in the day, they don't remember that kind of thing. So as a teacher, the onus was on me to make sure that they could connect the dots, that they did get it, that they saw the larger picture. And so in part, we're doing a series of bulletin boards and displays within the schools so that the children can see. And what we're going to do is take a map of Chester, list a lot of the places where the Pieces of Peace murals are, so that they can see, hey, that's down the street from me. Oh, that's across the street. Or, Mom, when we're riding someplace, that's that place. So, again, helping them to connect the dots to build that better sense of community.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to get to you at the break, Colin, because we only have about a minute left, and I know we're going to need more time than that, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, we're speaking with Twyla Simpkins, Colin Corbin, and Aubrey Proud in regards to Martin Luther King Day, the ML King Day of Service in Chester on Monday, January 19th. 6 locations for volunteer services at the Chester schools in the city of Chester. We are going to continue this conversation as soon as we get back from a quick break. You're listening to the Delco Show on iRadio Philly, and we will be right back. Welcome back to the Delco Show. This is Tori Fiore, and you are listening to the Delco Show, brought to you by the Delaware County Chamber of Commerce, right here on iRadio Philly. And as usual, Stephen E. Kessler II, we are looking forward after this program to get to our wonderful sandwiches provided to us by those delightful people at Capriati's. Are we not, Stephen? Just nod your head, okay? You don't have a microphone. All right, fine. Anyway, we are speaking with Twyla Simpkins, Colin Corbin, and Aubrey Proud, who are all involved in one way, shape, form, or another with Martin Luther King, the ML King Day of Service in Chester on Monday, January 19th. I need to iterate again. Volunteers between 9 a.m. and 12:30 on the 19th. You can email Aubrey, AUBREY, Proud, PROUD, at Crozier, CROZER.org with your level of interest for volunteering. They'll get the schedules out to you by January 12th. Or you can call Twyla at 610-876-2222. Colin, your turn. Dr. King,
Yes.
what did it mean to you?
Sometimes when you think of a person who made such a huge impact on humankind, it could be a bit overwhelming. So to take the simplistic view, Dr. King completed a portion of his educational process within the city of Chester, within walking distance from many of our schools. That's pretty encouraging. And then you take a look, he was committed to something, and he believed in it so much he was willing to die for it. So again, I mentioned earlier, his life was a blueprint of how you can make true change. So something as simple as focusing on what you believe in, what you're committed to, and how do you get that done? It's pretty simple. You start with yourself. So one of the things that I'd love to see evolve from this, my family was focused on you are the individual that can make a difference, and to pass that along to our community. You know, we have great parent involvement, our parents and our students, to see that whatever they're committed to, follow through with it, and just take it simplistically, starting with yourself. Our actions create change.
Yeah. Well said. Now, Aubrey, in that regard, I mean, the Crozier Keystone Health Systems, I mean, my gosh, that's been a cornerstone of the city of Chester for as long as I can remember. You know, I know that my wife loves that hospital. You know, I mean, she's had a couple of little things going, and we live right around nothing personal.
Sure.
Okay,
Sure.
to other hospitals.
Right.
But we live right around a corner from some hospitals that are a lot closer. She chooses Crozier.
We appreciate it.
And so I guess all the years that Crozier's been around, it's built that up with them to be involved in an event like MLK Day.
Well, it does. And, obviously, the history, as you mentioned, with Crozier Hospital, with Chester Hospital, with the two coming together in one name, and going back, of course, more than a century, there's a lot of impact locally in the community. But if you bring that present day, the community of Chester, the community of Delaware County as a whole, it's important for everyone to come together as much as they can with everyone's busy lives. To look at, as Colin correctly mentioned, look at yourself from an individual standpoint. What can you do within your family? And I would also encourage the business community to look at themselves and see what they can do as this day of service has really grown in nature over the years, of course, and is now in some regards thought of as a requirement in some cultures and some businesses. And I would, look forward to the day that more businesses and individuals will see it as a commitment and a requirement on Monday, but maybe even the entire weekend. And it's nice that our committee can do our part to provide activities and volunteer opportunities on Monday, knowing that there's more we can do in the future. But this year, having 6 sites is a huge accomplishment.
Yeah.
And individually, I know I have a young family, and we're encouraging the kids to get involved in community service, and it's just a neat opportunity for something like this to take place.
Yeah, and I guess having the 6 sites at from the Chester High School consortium right now, that's a good step in the right direction, isn't it?
It absolutely is. It reaches it reaches Chester, it reaches Upland, with Toby Farms, and to have the 6 different sites, to know that on the Tuesday, each of the schools are going to have significant improvements because of the volunteer efforts on a Monday.
On a Monday, sure.
Is a nice message, and it's also a good message, as Twyla mentioned, from a student standpoint and a children's standpoint, that from kindergarten to 12th grade, they'll see things different ways, but they'll know that it was because of the MLK Day of Service that these things were going on, and it gives the teachers a chance and the parents a chance to continue that conversation.
Yeah.
Okay,
Colin?
and I'd just like to add on to Aubrey's comment. This isn't just one day for Chester Upland School District. This is something we do on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And it's a building block to see the community service. Again, it connects the dots with many hands make light work. So to see volunteers come into our community and do many jobs, and then we continue it. So building the character of our students and our families and continuing it 365 days a year is definitely.
Well, yeah, and I think, look, I think you've got it. Let's take it past the city of Chester. Let's take it past the Chester Upland School District. And let's take it past Delaware County. Let's take it past the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Everybody should be thinking that way every day.
Correct.
Well, I
Absolutely.
think too, with the efforts of the MLK committee, we've really grown from a couple hundred people to we're expecting at least 1,000 people, because
Terrific.
we continue to outgrow the places where we are. So Chester High is able to accommodate. And then again, with any number of other ideas coming in, we actually have a Facebook page. And so putting a plug in, if you would like the MLK Commemorative Committee of Chester and Vicinity's Facebook page, we want to have students see some of the things that are happening and get to participate. So we're having them sign off on releases so that on that day of service, if you're watching that page, it's just going to be getting all these hits, because kids will be able to have their picture taken. It gets posted up on Facebook so that they can see in their community what is happening, what they're doing.
Do any of you know what how can you get to that Facebook page? I mean, do you just go in MLK Day of Service, or
If
Just do a search for MLK Commemorative Committee of Chester and Vicinity.
Facebook page?
right,
on-
and
on-
it'll
at
give
Facebook.
it'll give you a list of suggestions, and then you just click on the commemorative committee.
Okay.
And then you just like it, and then it'll just kind of follow. And if you know anything about Facebook, it'll hit your, I don't want to say timeline. Will it hit your timeline?
Sure, go with that,
Gen-
Twyla.
generation
I'll go
gap.
with that one.
It'll hit your wall. Thank
Okay.
you. And again, you see the generations working together here
Yeah, I hit
to
a
make
wall.
it
I
happen.
hit a wall around 11 o'clock at night, Twyla. I don't know about you.
That's two of us.
Yeah, and the goals for the committee are that year long we're going to have a much more active involvement, from a community standpoint, and the partnership. You can see where the partnership comes and is rooted with the Chester Upland School District, with the committee members. Everyone's approaching it, with the same fashion to improve the community. And there's going to be great conversation going on through the year as to different opportunities to volunteer, different ways to be able to get involved. And so check out that Facebook page. It's growing, and you'll get more information in the future.
Okay, so we know this, okay? If you want to volunteer, contact aubrey.proud@crozier.org. Call the Yes We Can Achievement and Cultural Center, 610-876-2222, or go to search MLK Day of Service in Chester Facebook page. Get it on your wall, and you'll figure that out. So there's 3 ways that you can do that. Now, I want to segue into something else here a second, but somewhere in the city of Chester, because of Dr. King's involvement and his footprint in the city of Chester, there is a bust, a very large bust of him somewhere. Where is that?
Well, that's actually located in the area right next to the J. Lewis Crozier Library at 7th and Ingle.
Okay.
And I don't know, for old Chester folks, it used to be a basketball court.
Ah.
And there was some mild, stir when they were going to put the bust in the area. But it's been very, very well received. The community supported it with the bricks and things that are leading up to it, where people help to support the bust, and it is there in place next to the library.
So now that segment weighs me in because you said, it's at 7th and Engle, you said?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So in different parts of the city of Chester, I want to go back to what you called the peace murals, okay?
Well, it's
There's about a half a dozen of them.
yes, at least, and I would be remiss if I didn't give credit to Paul Downey of the Wallingford Community Arts Center, because Paul's been the key. He's been the hinge pin that's just made it all happen. So they are located throughout the city. The first pieces of Peace mural, however, is located on the side of the Yes We Can Achievement and Cultural Center. And just again, for folks who want to know, the Yes Center is the old YWCA Chester, and it's located at 7th and Sproul. And when we decided for that placement, it's because if you are at 7th and Sproul, if you're on one side of the street, you're in the west end. And if you're on the other side of the street, you're on the east end. And because we were talking about all the things that were happening in our community, what better place than right there, smack dab in the middle, that Pieces of Peace mural. And with that first mural, people came in over a series of months to put it together. And then we finally had the little dedication and everything. But there are Pieces of Peace murals throughout the city, and I'd have to refer to Paul for their exact location right now.
But
there are a number of them.
But where you put the first one begat that great old song, East Side, West Side, all around the town.
But then there's another mural that's not necessarily attributed to the Pieces of Peace, but it's so much more reminiscent of the MLK Day, and that's the one off of 291, right there down from PPL Park,
Sure.
next to Calvary Baptist Church.
Sure.
Paul was instrumental in doing that as well, and that kind of was the kickoff. And people stop and take pictures and everything. It's just such a beautiful, well-maintained piece that the community came together to give input to on what should go where. And again, how the mural was designed lended itself to the community supporting its completion.
Twyla, these two kids, okay, call it 291. We remembered as the Industrial Highway.
Yes.
Yes. People want to talk about the George Platte Bridge. It's the Penrose Ferry Bridge, okay? That's all it ever was. That's all it ever is going to be. Don't change it, all right? Yeah. So I call it the Industrial Highway.
And some of us still call it 2nd Street.
Okay, yeah, exactly. We have about 2 minutes left. I need about 30 seconds from each of you. I'm going to start to my immediate left. My left, that's my arrow. Okay, got it. I had to figure out left and right from where I am. Martin Luther King, MLK, Day of Service in Chester. Aubrey, 30 seconds on behalf of Crozier Keystone Health Systems.
Well, it's a pleasure to be part of the committee and to be involved in this year's event that at Chester High School looks to have a great amount of community spirit, lots of activities. Should be a lot of fun on Monday, January 19th. Really looking forward to seeing the volunteers come out in full force, and just looking forward to a great event. It's fun to represent Crozier Keystone in this effort.
I'm going to leave you for last because you are the CEOO, all right? Colin Corbin, Chester Upland School District, MLK Day of Service in Chester.
We are excited to host the volunteer sites and would love to have folks come out with us and make a true change, assist us with what we do every day.
Twyla, knock your socks off.
The MLK Day of Service help to regrow your community by coming out and serving and forwarding the dream of our better community. And that's from the Yes Center, former YWCA Chester. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, MLK Day of Service in Chester, Monday, Monday, January 19th. Volunteer, come on out. It's going to be a great day. Tori Fiore, The Delco Show, Chamber of Commerce, iRadio Philly, and we are out of here.